students at Romeo Dallaire performed a historical inquiry. This year, they looked at social displacement by comparing a social group from Canada's past and present and seeing how they have been treated. The format was a CBC documentary.
In their documentary, students not only explored the topic of displacement and discrimination amongst their chosen group, but they also offered viable solutions to create effective change. Some examples are a media awareness campaign, school curriculum adaptations, and even an apology.
Let's take a look at their explorations.
If we really think about it, we have gone from having the right to vote to being paid less than men. We are not receiving the rights that we as Canadians are entitled to, as women. Canadian women still stand at the point where they will continue to strive for what they deserve, and that is equality. Everyone in Canada is equal, yet that is not what the women's versus men's paycheck shows. Many conversations are being spoken about this one simple debate. Why are women being paid less?
So what really inspired me to choose Canadian women's history from past to present in Canada was really someone who has come from a long fight. And immediately I thought of women because from the past to present they have had two major fights. And the first two that came to my head and was really most significant to Canadians' history was the fight for women's right to vote. And that was a very long fight, and finally in 1916, Manitoba was the first province who granted the right to vote to women. And that leads up to around late 1900s, where the wage gap, the controversies and the fights about the wage gap between male and females kind of started. That kind of brought a lot of questions to my mind, and that's why I chose my question of what is the next fight for women? If they had the right to vote in early DNA, what would be their fight right now in present Canada? Yes, of course, because that is something that Globe and Mail proves, that 74 cents is the minimum wage that women receive compared to $1 that every male makes. And that is proven false by a Harvard study that I found. That Harvard study shows that this data that is analyzed by these other companies like CBC, Globe and Mail are actually false, because there are many little factors that can lead to this wrong data, and some of those factors can be that they have a different background education, a different culture, and so that kind of, I was believing in that, but at the same time, there are many women who are getting jobs and talking to their friends who are males, and they're like, oh, wow, this whole gender equity thing that's going on is very different. And so that's something that kind of is the next fight for women now. So I really concluded that this wage gap is true and is not very fair between the genders. And so the next fight is the wage gap between male and females.
There are about 1.4 million students attending Ontario's 4,000 publicly funded elementary schools, but with many close looks at the curriculum, we can see that not all are getting all that they deserve. The main focus of Ontario's school system is to have strong literacy and numeracy skills, with sciences and histories as a second. The government's goal is to have 75% of students achieving an average B in reading, writing, and mathematics, but other subjects are sometimes looked down upon. A study shows how low accessibility to these other programs are, depending on loss of teachers or school knowledge in the subject. Although Canadian education has gone far, you can see that there is a lot of expansions to be made, such as proper funding, proper accommodation for different needs of different kinds of students, also include proper reflection of the needs of students in education and more opportunities related to the topic. But most of all, we need a proper teaching environment with enough researchers, educators, equipment, and more. So my heritage project was how has accessibility to education evolved and impacted society in Ontario, and I looked at how it could be further improved, and I compared different compare different racial and economic classes and how they have access to education over time.
Why was the subject matter so important to you?
Well, I'm passionate about learning and education, and I found this learning process important to me, and I got very inspired as well. I found that the amount of change was very important, and the amount of things that we could look forward to, but also the amount of things that we could improve in Canadian education, such as like different racial classes, such as like First Nations or immigrants accessing education that don't always have the same opportunities as us. And another example could be in YDSB, we don't have guidance counselors for primary schools, which might be necessary for some students.
I see. And how would you conclude your project? What is it that you think that the education could benefit the most from?
I feel like that accessibility portion is very important, and I find that a lot of people's passions and interests get toned down because of grades or other things. So I find that giving those opportunities and expanding those outreaches in different classrooms and schools is very important. And just giving as much opportunities to kids and making them at their best, getting them at their best.
This showed women that they really can work, even in a man's job. So, a fictional character was created to help encourage women to join the workforce. Her name was Rosie the Riveter. They used many different forms of media, such as music and posters, to be seen
all the day long where the rain has shined. She's a part of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie, the riveter, keeps a sharp lookout for sabotage. Sitting up there on the fuselage, that little frail can do more than a man can do. Rosie, the riveter, Rosie.
And so Rosie gave women the confidence to pursue the jobs they wanted. Later, this period of feminism was named First Wave Feminism, as it came to an end in around 1920 as they achieved their goals. This paved the line for Second Wave Feminism that was coming with new opportunities and goals. Second Wave Feminism really only began in the 1960s, and they were bringing something completely different to feminism. They started to create different specific organizations to help them achieve their goals. They fought for things such as abortion rights, equal pay, and property rights. Betty Friedan was the leader of the Second Wave Feminism movement and was credited for causing the movement because of her book The Feminine Mystique, which talked about the unspoken truth of housewives at the time. This book helped women realize that they were not alone in their unhappiness and that they shouldn't be ashamed because of it.
Feminism is defined as a belief for equal rights, and it has helped a lot of people, such as myself. It has made a lot of people envision past for the future and has completely changed our society. As you can see, women are working, and is a completely amazing movement that helped a lot of people. We should go under a new label instead of feminism, but as equalitarians, so we can stop the divide between the genders that is constantly fighting. Because I have found myself another organization that is devoted to helping the man's opinion, almost kind of going against feminism, not against women's rights, but the feminism movement, and it causes more of a divide. So if we go under the name of equalitarian, it could help a lot and help everyone push each other up to success.
But few recognize that discrimination continues to be a national problem. The creation of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms lead us to believe that discrimination based on race, religion, sex, or any mark of difference is not a Canadian problem. Sure, Canada is internationally recognized for being accepting of all, but do we do that at the expense of downplaying our discrimination issues? The year is 2018. Women feel more insecure than ever as, according to the Canadian Encyclopedia, 1/8 of Canadian females have suffered repeated violence by the men they lived with, and 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted before the age of 16. The year is 2018, and although most of the anti-Semitism barriers have been lifted and there are equal opportunities for Jews in Canada, the hatred still exists.
Hi, my name is Shira, and for my Heritage Fair project, I chose to research the question. Canada is recognized for being accepting of all, but do we do that at the expense of downplaying our discrimination issues? So I chose this question because I feel like it's at the back of everyone's minds nowadays. With everything happening in the world, a bunch of countries are being known as discriminatory, but Canada's just left out of the equation. I really wanted to find out if this is true or if it's just a stereotype. Also, I chose a really broad question so that I didn't limit myself, and also so that I could examine 2 closer aspects, Jews and women in Canada, because, well, I'm a Jewish woman. While researching, I found many interesting facts, such as 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted before the age of 16, and hate crimes against Jews have rose 24% in only 1 year. Of course, everyone knows that Canada has had an unsteady past, but I didn't know that, well, this hasn't really changed. Nowadays, it's easier than ever to spread hate with online technology at our fingertips. This just proves how much our hate hasn't really gotten better. It's just developed onto many new levels. Also, did you know that while the number of Canadians who say that they've experienced discrimination has increased, the number of Canadians who believe that it's a problem has decreased? That's just mind-blowing to me because that just proves how unaware we are. In conclusion, although Canada may be known as an accepting and kind country, I found out that Canada has some work to do. We need to start educating our future leaders and express this knowledge to the public because we are not any different than other racist or discriminatory countries if we don't start acknowledging our problems now.